Indiana versus Richard Allen. Yep. To say that this case is a farce and an absurdity would be an understatement. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe while you're here and hit that like button. This is Crafting in Crime Daily, and I'm your host, Rebecca. I recap live trials. This one's not live. Why? What's the big secret? Don't know. But Indiana, state of Indiana, Delphi, little town, less than 3,000 people. Although I will tell you the jury came from another town, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and they were bussed over to Delphi, Indiana, and they are sequestered. They are staying in hotels. That's why we are having trial on Saturdays too. So you're going to get more videos this weekend from me. And to say that I'm tired is an understatement. I'm just, with my sister in the hospital and I'm running around and doing videos, and it's just, anyway, I'll get over it. So, and last night was Halloween. Oh my God, it was so much fun. So many little kids. I've never seen so many kids. This is the first Halloween in a very long time where I had a lot of trick-or-treaters. But I think it's because the church across the street had a trunk or treat, and it was so cute seeing them all in their little costumes, the little princesses, and the boys kind of went with darker characters, skeletons and zombies, and the girls were princesses. It was adorable. One little girl, she was dressed up in a little Frozen outfit, but because it was cold, it was 45 degrees out last night. She had like a little shawl on, little white shawl. It was so adorable. And so I was sitting out on the patio giving out candy and with Tootsie. And she just sat there, and when people come up, she'd stand up and she would let them pet her, and then they'd leave and she'd sit back down. It was so cute. All right, enough of that. So let's get to the trial. The state is getting ready to rest their case, and the last witness is Brian Hirschman, an Indiana State police officer for 24 plus years. And everyone's thinking, okay, here comes the bombshell. You save your best witness for last. Perhaps. He's the phone guy. His job was to listen to all the jail phone calls that Richard Allen made to whoever. In fact, his cell phone would alert him when Richard Allen was making a call so he could listen in. He said he listened to over 700 phone calls made by Richard Allen in 2 years. The first year, 13 months, we know the craziness that he was going through there. And if you missed that, that was in yesterday's episode right there. If you don't want to miss that episode, what he went through in prison, a pretrial detainee, someone who's innocent until proven guilty, is in a prison in solitary confinement for 13 months. Now, he's now in a regular facility. He was transferred to another town in a regular facility, where he has television and a bathroom and can mingle with the other inmates and, okay. So this was the phone guy. He said he spent hundreds of hours listening to phone calls. Now think about the cost of that versus that $10,000 they didn't want to spend to figure out how tall Richard Allen was or how tall the bridge guy was to compare to Richard Allen, who's 5'5" or 5'4". But they'll pay this guy hundreds of hours worth, this is a senior officer. So that had to cost a pretty penny. Anyway, so the prosecution entered 7 of these phone calls into evidence, and we get to hear each of these phone calls. So I'm gonna go through. I took some fairly good notes when I was listening to the different podcasters that are in the courtroom, and just to be safe, I listened to Andrea Burkhart. I will give her credit. She is one of several people who are getting one of those 24 seats in the courtroom. The other person is Lawyer Lee that I listen to, and then Lauren from Hidden True Crime. Big YouTubers. Because I wanted to make sure I wasn't listening to someone who was biased, but they all three seem to, sorry about the phone call. They all three seem to have the same opinion that this case is a farce. That this is not making any sense. Where's the evidence against Richard Allen? So I'm going to read through some of these phone calls. Well, yeah, some of them. But okay, so some of them are between him and his wife. I think one of them was between him and his mother. So the first phone call is November 22nd, 2022. This is right after he gets in the hole. Oh my God, stop. Okay, it's not important. Sorry. November 22nd, 2022. He's just gone into the hole. Now he's calling his wife, Kathy. Tells her, in his normal intonations, the same intonation you heard, well, we haven't heard any of it, that they heard during his interrogations and stuff, before he became incredulous at the end. He says to Kathy, if this becomes too much for you. Oh, before I read this, the officer was asked to summarize this phone call. What's this one about? Tell me about this phone call. Well, this is the call where Richard says that he's going to tell the police what they want to know. What? So this is what I write down. What? Tell the police what they want to know. Here's what the phone call actually said. Kathy, if this becomes too much for you, I'll tell the officers what they want me to say. I'll just say it. That is very different than what this guy just testified to, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Then he says to his wife, did you go back to work? And she says, no, they don't want me there anymore. She lost her job over all of this. He says, they don't? Oh, just one more thing I fucked up. If anything happens, I'll see you in the next life. Then the rest of the phone calls that are played, that they cherry picked to play to the jury, are while Richard Allen is having this mental breakdown in April and May of 2023. He's been in the hole for 5 months. At this point, I'm not going to repeat everything he's doing behavior-wise. If you want to hear that, that's in this yesterday's video. I'm telling you, it's crazy. So April 2nd, 2023, this is to his mom. Mom, I found Jesus Christ. I've accepted him as my Lord and Savior. His wife gave him a Bible. But Mom, it says the message on the front. It doesn't say Holy Bible. I don't think this is the Bible, Mom. He's getting a little paranoid here. So she's trying to convince him, it's the Bible, honey. He says he's not sleeping well. Anyway, next phone call, April 23rd. This is to his wife. He can't sleep. Just wanted to apologize to you. You know I killed Abby and Libby. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. They messed with your head. Why would you say that? Because maybe I did. I think I did. They're messing with your head. And then he says, did Dad take my call? What did I say to him? A little bit of memory loss here, maybe? And she says, I don't know. They're worried about you. And now his wife is crying at this point on the phone call. And he says, I think I did. She says, why would you say that? I think I did. She says, you don't know exactly. There's something wrong. And he says, they're screwing, or she says, they're screwing with your mind. And he says, I just wish they'd kill me or let me apologize to the families. Can you say gaslighting? And he was very emotional during this phone call. His wife's crying. This was his theme throughout the phone calls. He really loves his wife. He loves his wife. And he's trying to put her well-being before his own. So the call ends. Next call is May 10th. Now, that detailed confession that he made to the clinical psychologist came on May 2nd, where he says that he lied in wait, followed the girls, down the hill, took them to the clearing, saw a van, startled him, so he knew he had to kill them. He didn't go through with this sexual assault. Okay. So this is May 10th. Now he's got a very flat affect. This is also the same time frame where he's exhibiting all these crazy behaviors, eating his own feces, rolling around in it, drinking out of the toilet, banging his head up against the wall till he's bruised. Just these crazy things. Eating the Bible, flushing the Bible down the toilet, because it wasn't the Bible, it was the message. Anyway, so now he's got this very flat affect. The Haldol's kicked in, and he's just flat. She says to him, hi, honey, you doing okay? I may be now. She says, I'm meeting Brad at the gas station. He says, I think maybe I'm losing my mind, but I'm not sure. So they allowed you a call? Yeah, are you okay? She says, yeah, what's going on? I just think maybe I've lost my mind. She says, we've all lost our minds at this point. He says, I need to tell you something, honey. You need to know that I did this. She's like, what? No, you didn't. Are you okay? Do you still love me? I'll always love you. But you haven't done anything. You aren't well. You don't need to be saying you did something you didn't do. She says, I don't know what's going on here. Definitely going to lose my mind now. I'm not normal. It feels like it's taking me forever. I just needed to let you know. I didn't know how. And I didn't know how. She says, don't be talking anything negative on the phone like that. And he says, I have to let you know I did it. She says, no, you didn't. There's no way. And so phone call ends. May 10th, 2023. Second phone call. Richard says, hey, it's me. Just need to know if you still love me. Yes, dear. He says, everyone else will as well. Yes. He says, I may have to spend the rest of my life here. So at this point, Kathy's upset. What she was saying was inaudible. So that didn't make it to the notes. Richard says, I just don't understand. I just got to know everyone's still going to love me because I may not be able to see you one last time. You know what I'm saying? It's true. She's like, no, it's not. He says, what they're saying, it's true. I'm well. She says, no, you're not. He says, if I get the electric chair, and she says, no, 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 we're not going to let that happen. He says, if it does, will you be there for me? And then she says, this isn't right. And the rest of what she says, you can't understand because she's very upset. Then he says, it's okay, honey. I did it. I didn't, dear. I did it, dear. I can't stop. I've got a computer listening to me. Dear, I love you. I killed Abby and Libby. She says, no, you didn't. Stop saying that. And he says, I was trying to let you go. She says, we're going to be back together. And now she's sobbing on the phone. He says, I know you're always going to love me no matter what. She's still crying. And he says, will you always love me, baby? Now, at this point, the jurors are becoming very empathetic. She's sitting over there, and they keep looking over at her, with this empathy on their face. Kind of like they just want to run over and give her a hug, so to speak. Anyway, May 17th. Call to Janice. So Richard says, hey. Well, all of a sudden, prosecution jumps up and says, oh, wait, this is the wrong phone call. Wrong phone call. We didn't mean to admit that call. Stop. They shut it off. He goes, and this is already admitted into evidence. Jury has a transcript of it. And he's like, no, that's the wrong one. I got to go get the right one. So the judge lets him go. But they continue on to the next phone call. June 5th, 2023. Richard starts the phone call with, oh. She says, do you need some coffee or some snacks? He says, I don't know why you're giving me that money when I don't know where it came from. She says, don't you worry about it. What'd you have for lunch today? Breakfast. He says, oh, I had a bar. He says, I feel kind of weird talking to you. She says, why would it be weird? He says, I feel like I've lost my mind and gone to hell or something, that I done it, right? She says, dear, I don't want to talk about that, okay? He says, it's just a real frustrating spot right now. But I know that doesn't compare to where you're at. And she says, be honest with me. You didn't do it. He says something inaudible, and then he says, I tried to hurt myself. Then she says, if I can get a chaplain down there to pray with you, would that be okay? And he says, I've had a chaplain pray with me, and it just didn't work. Didn't seem to help me. I'm sorry I questioned you about the Bible that you gave me. When he thought it wasn't the Bible, it was the Message. And he says, I got another one in here now, and it says the same thing. Whoa. Okay. Call ends. Next call is June 11th, 2023. Now there's even more jurors that are looking at her with empathy. Richard says, hello, hey, and he's kind of in a frantic tone. And he says, I did it. Kathy, I did it. Do you still love me? She says, yes, I do. But why do you say it? He says, I don't know. I don't want to upset you. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I've lost my mind. She says, you can't call me and talk like that. Then the people in the courtroom said you could hear in the background of this phone call this loud wailing sound. Nobody knows what it was. I'm surmising maybe it was another person put in solitary confinement in another cell on this pod or something, in the hole. And they said it's pretty loud. And Rick says, "I'm sorry, baby, I can't talk to you right now. I didn't want to do this. I'm sorry." She says, "You're not going to do anything to yourself, are you?" He says, "I'm probably going to have to kill myself now." She says, "You can't call me and talk to me like that." He says, "You don't have anything to do with it. Why are you so mad at me?" She says, "I'm not mad. I'm upset." He says, "I can't tell you what's going on, or I can't tell you what's going through my mind. I feel like I'm already in hell." She says, "I don't understand what's going on." He says, "Neither do I. I guess I'm going to have to stop calling. I'm sorry." That's it. Now, when they come back with the rest of that phone call that they meant to have, it's just more of the same. I did it. No, you didn't. I did it. No, that kind of thing. Anyway. So now, cross-examination by the defense. Would you agree that in most of these phone calls, he's calm and subdued and solemn? Nope. Don't agree with that. Would you agree that there's indication he's under duress or stress? No. No indication of that. Would you agree there's references to Van in the discovery? Many references. I think that was objected to, so we didn't get an answer. So, going back to this van, he said that Brad Weber is the guy that lived down the hill. So, on the south side of the bridge where Libby was filming, Abby comes towards them. At first you see Abby, and then you don't see the bridge guy, and then eventually you do see the bridge guy. Little minutia that they blew up and enhanced. Anyway, on that south side of the bridge, if you go down the hill, there is an access road that leads to a driveway. Brad Weber lives at the end of that driveway, and at one time he was a suspect, but the judge has said the defense is not allowed to talk about any other culprits during this trial. Anybody else that was suspected, not allowed. But the door's kind of been opened because of this van thing. So they talk about Brad Weber. They pulled his time record because he said, I was at work. Gets off work clocks out at 2:02 p.m. Now we know the bridge video that Libby took was at 2:13 p.m. 11 minutes later. He's not home yet. It would take him, if he went straight to his car, didn't stop to talk to anybody, didn't look at his phone, to try to find, look at his messages, make phone, if he just gets in his car, goes straight home, 20 minutes. The last activity on that phone is 2:32. If he went straight home without any activity, he would have gotten home about 2:27. Would that have given Richard Allen enough time for everything we saw to get the girls down the hill, unclothed, clothes are in the creek, up to where, cross the creek, up the hill on the north side, unclothed. Abby puts Libby's clothes on. At some point he kills them, puts branches on. I mean, is that all enough time? Well, the state believes that it is, that he saw that van, got startled, killed him, and then left. I think, and so did these podcasters that I listen to, that the defense is going to bring on the stand Brian Weber, because in 2017, Brian Weber told the police, 4 days after the crime, he told the police, that he didn't go straight home. He didn't go straight home. He went to work on some ATMs. So then this officer was asked by the defense. One of the things he had testified to on direct was that he had listened to, all of these hundreds of phone calls with Richard Allen, and he just knows his voice. I know that voice. And the voice that says down the hill, that's Richard Allen. Now, whenever I hear that voice, it sounds very mechanical to me because it's enhanced. But he says it sounds like Richard Allen. He's not an expert in voice recognition. But in any case, okay. So he was asked, were there any, he's under surveillance with a camera 24/7 in his cell. Yes. Any video of these phone calls? Yes. Don't you think it would have been helpful for the jury to see his behavior during these phone calls? No. Yeah. I'm wondering if the defense has those videos. I'd love to see that. Well, we're not going to see any of it. We haven't seen anything, but I'd love to see this whole thing. It's just crazy. So he admitted that there's no description of the van that Richard Allen never gave it the description of the van. Then I'll redirect the defense was trying to put in some video from where Richard Allen is currently staying. I don't know what's on this video, but they wanted to show his behavior on this video. And the defense jumps up and says, wait a minute, we've never seen this video. So they go sidebar. The jury gets excused. The defense is allowed to go and watch the video, 30 minutes long. They come back, go sidebar again, a lengthy sidebar. Then the judge says, I've got to watch this video. So she goes back to chambers. She watches the video. She comes out and she actually ruled in favor of the defense. Sustained. It's not coming in. Interesting. So, jury questions. Oh, well, before we get to jury questions, he was asked, this officer, do you usually see pretrial detainees in county jail or prison? Oh, usually county. Okay. So the jury question, there was several jury questions. One was like, any other vans on that road? Any other vans in the county? Is that the only van that ever uses that road? Ever uses that driveway? I think that's funny. And then one juror asked, did you listen to those phone calls? And I'm adding my own emphasis to that, but I think that was the gist of it. Did you listen to those phone calls before you testified? That was the question. Did you listen to those phone calls before you testified? Because they weren't good for the state. They really weren't. It's just more evidence of this mental breakdown that this guy's having because you've got him in solitary confinement. He's been there 5 months before he starts losing his mind. He's been diagnosed as psychotic. They're giving him Haldol. And he's just, I'll just tell them what they want me to say. I'll find out what they want me to say, and I'll say it. So before the state rests their case, the judge says, there was this issue about these Google searches that were done on Richard Allen's computer, whether they would come in or not. She said she'd take it under advisement. Well, she says, I've thought about it. I'm going to let them come in. So the jury is given transcripts of they're given copies of the Google searches. It's published to the jury, not to the audience. No one else gets to see what's there. It's not brought in through a witness. There's no foundation laid for these Google searches, like, we don't know when they were done. We don't know what's in them. We don't know who did them. We don't know who else had access to the computer. And then the state rests their case. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Yeah, this is the wildest, weirdest case I have ever covered. I want to be a fly on the wall in that courtroom. Oh, the last thing, observation made by the podcasters. The table that they said was in the back of the room, where the lawyers and the attorney general was sitting when the Department of Correction employees were on the stand. During this guy's testimony, there was a bunch of police officers. They were all in plain clothes, but they had their badges and stuff. They're like a whole bunch of them just sitting there watching. Kind of weird. Anyway, let me know what you think. I will see you in the next video. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow because there's court on Saturday. Take care, everybody. Bye.